Hello friends, welcome to my channel. In today's session we will discuss about paging in ASP.NET GridView. This is the example we are going to discuss in today's session. We will create one grid view and we will implement the paging like this. If you are new to my channel, please subscribe to my channel by clicking on subscribe button. First we'll see quick demo. So this is the example we are going to implement in today's session. We will create one HTML table and we will create one grid view here. We have one table called employee master. We will try to get the data from the database by using store procedure, and we will bind the data to grid view like this, and we have to implement the paging like this, and whenever you click on page it will display the page data. Here I am displaying each page 5 records, so as per our requirement we can change the number of records for each page. Okay, for this example I am using Microsoft Visual Studio, and we are going to use ASP.NET and C# from Visual Studio. And for database we are using SQL Server, and we are going to create some stored procedures to get the data from the database. We have to implement all these steps one by one to get the output as we expected. Please watch the video till the end for better understanding. First we have to create a web project, and then we have to create a web form, and we have to design the template as per our requirement. Then we have to create a connection string in web.config. We are going to read the database connectivity from connection string. Next step, we have to create one stored procedure to get the employee data. So we are going to read the data from the database. For that we will create a stored procedure and we will read the data to bind in grid view. Then we have to create one class file to store all our business logics. We are going to store our business logics in a class file, and we will read the data from our business logic file. Next we have to create one function to bind the data to grid view. Finally we have to implement the on page index changing event to implement the paging in grid view. We'll switch to Visual Studio and we will implement one by one. For this session I am using Visual Studio 2013. We have to click on File to create new web project. Click on New, click on Project. Under Visual C# we have to click on Web. We are going to create one web application, and so you can select the latest .NET framework here, and we are going to select the .NET web application. Here we have to provide the project name. I am giving as paging. Click on OK. Here select template as empty, then click on OK. So our project has been created here. Next step, we have to create one web form and we have to design the template as per our requirement. For that, right click on the project, click on add. I need new item. Click on web form. Here we can give the web form name. Click on add. Here we can provide our page title, that is web form title. So you can give any title here. Here we have to create one HTML table. I am creating one table row. Inside that I am creating table data. I need 2 rows here. One is we will provide title here, then we will provide one grid view here. Finally we will display one message here. For that I am taking 3 rows and each row contains one column. Okay. Here I am going to provide one header, that is paging in grid view, and I am going to provide some styles here. I am giving font size first, so I will mention as extra large. Then background color I required, I am creating as yellow. Then I need font weight bold, and this table I want to display in center. For that I am making as alignment center. So next row we want one grid view. I am creating one grid view here. We have to provide ID, GB employee data, not so. And I don't want auto generated columns here. We are going to create manually. Then I want some columns here. We can check column names from here. We need row number, then name, designation, salary, state and country here. Okay. For that I am creating columns here. I'll create ASP bound field. We have to provide header text here. This is going to be row number. We have to provide the data field. This we will provide as row number. I want to align item in center. So I'll copy. So then next we want name here. So I'm taking data field also, name, then designation, then we want salary, and I want state, then I am giving country, and I can remove this one. This is extra one. Header text we can provide any name, there is no restriction, but data field should match with the data where we are reading from the database. We are going to read from the database with the stored procedure. In that stored procedure we have to match these column names. Okay. Finally we will display one message here. For that I am taking one label, RDLC message. So font I am making as bold, and font color I'll make it as green here. So we will display, if there is any error we will display in the message, if any success message also we can display in the message. Okay. And I want to align this message to left. Just will switch to design mode. So we will make it this text in center, and we can format our grid view by clicking on auto format. I'm making as auto, apply, OK. Okay. First we will bind the data without paging and we will see the output, then we will implement the paging. Next we have to create a connection string in web.config. So we are going to read our database connection from the web.config. That's why we will create one connection string in our web.config. So we will create one connection string here. So we are going to add name. So that is my connection string. I am giving name, any name you can provide here. Then we have to provide the connection string. First we have to provide the data source. Here I am going to use my Windows authentication, so I am giving my machine name as data source. Then you have to provide the database name. So we are going to use database is demo. That's why I'm giving as demo for my database. Whenever you are using Windows authentication, you have to provide integrated security true. So our connection string is ready now. Next step is we have to create a stored procedure to get the employee data. For that we have to switch to SQL Server. So for this example I am using SQL Server 2012 and I am going to use Windows authentication here. Click on connect. We are going to use demo database. This is the table we are going to use for our demo purpose. Select top rows and rows. So this is our table. From this table we have to read the data. For that I am going to create one stored procedure. To create stored procedure, click on database, click on new query, create procedure. So we have to create one user defined stored procedure, get employees, begin here, end. So now we have to get the data like name, designation, salary, state and country. We need all these columns. So I'm copying this select query. So we need all these columns except employee ID. Just execute the query here. So we are able to get, and I want to make it as order by name. Also we required row number here. For that I am creating one row number function is there over, it is order by name. I'm making as column name already we provided here. It should match with the column names which we provided in the grid view. So where we provided is row number. This row number name. So these column names should match with grid view column names. Okay. So row number matching name, designation, salary, state and country. So all are matching with this one. So now you execute this select query. So we are able to get all the data. So here we don't want department ID. I am removing. Execute it. Yes, we are getting. Now click on execute. So there is a spelling error in begin. Now click on execute. Our stored procedure is created. You can check it here under stored procedures. Refresh here. Get employees. Okay. If we execute our stored procedure, now we will get the data as we expected. Next we have to create one class file to store all our business logics. Inside class file we will create one business logic to get the data from the database. Okay. For that right click on the project, click on add, click on class. We need one business logic class. I am giving name as paging. Click on add. Our class has been created here. Here we need some namespaces like system.data, then system.data.sql client, and finally we need system.configuration to read the connection string. So here I am creating some objects for SQL connection. Then I need SQL command. I'm creating object here, and I need SQL data adapter. Initial value I am providing as null. Then I need data table to store the data from database. So we will get it here, employee data. Now we have to read the connection string from our web.config. For that I am creating one object called connection string. New SQL connection. Configuration manager dot configuration manager dot connection strings. Here we have to provide our connection string name. We will get it from web.config. This is our connection string name, and we have to convert into toString. So now we are able to read the connection string from web.config. So now we have to implement our logic here. We have to read the data from database. For that I am creating one function which will return data table get employee data. Here we have to establish a connection between our web application and database server. For that I am using connection, where you have to provide the connection string name here. So now we have established the connection between our web application and database. Now we have to provide the command here, connection dot create command, and we have to provide the command type. We are going to use stored procedure. Then we have to provide the command text. So we have to pass our stored procedure name. This is our stored procedure. You can paste it here. And we need SQL data adapter here. We have to pass the command. Then finally we will get the data. We have to store in data table, fill with GIT employee data. Okay, finally we have to return the data table called GIT employee data. That's it. Now we are able to get the data from the database. Now we have to create a function to bind the data to GridView. For that, open your ASPX page, right click on the page, click on view code. Here we will create one function, private function I am going to create to bind the employee data. Okay, here we have to initialize our business logic class. Object I am storing as paging. So here we initialized our business class. Here we need one namespace called system.data. Here we will create one data table to store the data. GIT employees, initially it will be null. Then we have to get the data from our business class, obj paging dot get employee data. Here we will get the data if employees dot rows dot count is greater than 0, then we have to bind the data to GridView. You have to bind the data here, data bind. Suppose if there is no data, we have to display the message here. employee data not found. If there is no record, so we have to display the message to user. Okay, now we have to call this function on page load. If it's not is post back, then we will bind the employee data to grid view. Okay, now right click on the ASPX page, set it as start page so that it will start the page when our application is running. Okay, build the application. Run the application by pressing Ctrl F5. Now it is displaying all the records, so we will change some alignments, like name we will make it as left alignment, designation left, salary will be right, state and country we will make it as left, except salary we have to change the alignment. For that, we will make it as left alignment so that our display will be correct. Salary part we will make it as right, remaining all are making left. Now it is showing as we expected. Now we have to implement paging in this grid view. So we have to display for each page 5 records. Okay, for that go to your design view, allow paging, enable as true. Then we have to create one event called on page index changing. We have to create one event. We will rename this event as on page index changing, and I am changing here also. Then we have to decide page size here. So for us we need each page 5 records. For that purpose I updated as 5. Based on our requirement we can change the page size. Okay, now we have to implement the final step called on page index changing event. Okay, here we have to read the index, page index. We will get it from e dot new page index. Based on index we have to bind the employee data again. Okay, so now page index we completed, and if there is any error we have to catch that error. For that select entire function, right click, click on surround with. We have to keep it in try catch block. If there is any error we have to display in lbl message.text ex.message, and this message I want to display in red color. For that I am changing 4 color, system.drawing.color.red. That's it. Run the application now. So it is displaying as we expected. First page it is displaying 5 records. Click on second page, it is displaying 6 to 10. Click on third, 5 records it is displaying. Last page it is displaying remaining records. Like this you can use the grid view paging. Okay, that's it for today. If you like this video, please like and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching my video.